Let's tackle the next question on our budgeting practice. And before we dive too deep in, there's a typo on this problem. Wouldn't be one of my worksheets if there wasn't one. So there is a budgeting plan, but it's not the 50-20-20 rule. It's actually the 50-30, which would make more sense because then it adds up to 100%. So 50-30-20 rule to help you manage your money effectively. And the idea of this sort of process is that I have an income and I take 50% of it and I put it away for my needs, 30% for my wants, and 20% for my savings. If I have a job that brings home $1,047.60 each week, I'm going to sort of then use this budgeting plan to sort of work through some thinking. So first off, approximately how much money would I take home each month? Now, one option would be to take my salary and times it by 4 because there's approximately 4 weeks in each month. But I'm going to be a little more precise because if I do the 4 weeks, I actually lose some weeks in the year because there are 52 weeks in the year. But if I only do 4 weeks per month at 12 months, that would only get me to 48 weeks. And I want that extra money. So I'm actually going to take that weekly salary and I'm going to times it by 52 because that's going to get me my salary for the entire year, which was $59,675.20. So that's per year. And then I'm going to take that yearly salary and divide it by 12. And I get it that there's not an equal number of weeks in every month, but it gives me an approximate. So 59,675.20 divided by 12 comes out to about $4,972.93. And that's per month. So if I then want to split it into this 50-30-20 rule, I would go for my needs, and I'd basically spend half of my salary on needs. And needs would be things like housing, food, transportation. And so zero point 0.5 for 50% of that monthly salary. And I come out with 2,486 and 47-ish cents, rounding up a little there at the end. And then for wants, that would be 30% of our monthly amount, which would come out to about 1,491 and 88 cents. And then savings at 20, and that's like you're creating a rainy day fund with that savings money, is $994.59. So a popular rule is that 30% of your, like another rule, 30% of your budget should be spent on housing. So if I do 30% of my, money should be spent on housing, we already figured out that 30% is, we did this up here for wants, is $1,491.88. And yes, that does work within my housing, within my like needs budget. So I would still have, if I sort of, do some subtraction here, so I could say, okay, well, I have $2,486.47 for my needs, and I'm taking away the amount that I'm spending on housing. And I'm going to have then about $1,000 left over. I can get a little more precise. I can, do out the subtraction. And, it'd be a little under $1,000. So it'd be about, $994.58 for everything else. If my housing didn't come with utilities and, I have a cell phone bill and I have an internet bill and I have a power bill and I have a water bill and I have to get food, that might not be enough. Like maybe this plan is not quite giving me quite enough in that need category. But in theory, yes, it does have enough, but it's not leaving a ton left over for other needs. All right, next question. says the average driver spends 2.57% of their monthly income on their gas tank. How much money would you spend on gas? In reality, do you spend more or less than that? So $4,972.93. And I'm going to take 0.0257 of that. And that's going to be about $127.80. Now, if in reality, do you spend more or less than this amount, really is a per person question. That is totally going to depend on the type of car you have and how far your commute is. I currently am driving an electric vehicle, so I spend less than this on gas. But back when I was driving a gas vehicle, I probably spent more than that on gas per month because it was about 50 to fill up my tank, and I had to basically fill it up every week. So, I was spending probably $200 a month on gas. So but I have a far commute, and you might not. You might, my husband works a mile away from home. He fills up on gas maybe once a month, and so he spends about $50 on gas. So the answer to the second question really depends. And that's, as we said, this is the average US driver. So some of us will spend more and some of us will spend less. And so it's just sort of you have to budget for gas, what you think is, necessity. Now, if we spend 20% of our income, if we save 20%, if we actually do the 20% rule, it's sort of fun to see how much money you would actually save over the course of a year. So that means, we take that $994.57 and, we times that by 12 because, we have 12 months in a year. And that means over the course of a year, you would save $11,000, almost $12,000, which is pretty awesome. And if you were putting it in a savings account that earns some interest, and this is what we're going to be looking at in the upcoming weeks, you would start accumulating money pretty fast, and that rainy day fund would start to grow. But saving 20% of your income is a really high amount, and most of us can't afford to do that on a regular basis. As why some people criticize this 40 or 50, 30, 20 rule being like, it's not really realistic in today's day and age. You need to put more of that 20% and that wants amount into the needs category, as we sort of talk about things like gas and food and all those other things that cost quite a bit. All right, let's do the next problem on this page and then we'll switch into the next video. So we have car insurance. It has a $200 deductible per claim. And during a 2-year period, you file 2 different claims, and your annual premium is $650. The annual premium is so much, so that's why. So we have 2 years. So when we think about our premium, that means we're going to pay that $650 twice. Now here's the nice thing. For each of these claims, I should say with insurance, I'm only going to be paying my $200 deductible claims. And so I'm going to total all of these numbers, and that's going to tell me how much I'm spending with my insurance. And that would be around $1,700 over the course of 2 years. Now, if I didn't have insurance, it would be more because the first accident would have cost me $450 and the second one would have cost you $2,100, and so that would be $2,550 with no insurance. So our insurance saved us some, and hopefully with those claims my insurance premiums didn't go up in the following year, which is hard to know. So hopefully we're feeling a little better about these 2 types of questions, and stay tuned for some information about health insurance and leasing cars.